a common misconception that stalking is something that only happens to the rich and famous, because in reality it can happen to anyone.
And one such victim, Maisie Ralph, a 19-year-old student, became petrified when she found herself relentlessly hounded by her driving instructor, who developed a terrifying obsession with her.
Well, even after she moved 200 miles away to university, she couldn't escape him. Maisie joins us now to tell us more about this horrific ordeal.
Hi, Maisie.
Thank you for coming in today. And I know the reason you want to do this is you're going around helping others in these circumstances. So rather than keep quiet, you are shouting this very loudly. So talk about the meeting. How did it all start? When did it start to go wrong?
Well, I had driving lessons from July 2020. And, 15 of my friends were learning with this driving instructor, and, I was having lessons until November, until the COVID lockdown, and I really thought all that was fine. And then I began lessons again in April 2021, and I was having sort of lessons every sort of 2 lessons a week because I didn't have a car to practice on. And I literally had 5 weeks of lessons because I had a test for the middle of May, which I then went on to fail. But it was sort of at that time that my gut was just beginning to tell me that something was wrong. I couldn't really say what was wrong, but he was calling me his favourite quite a lot, which I thought, maybe you have a favourite student, but, it seemed quite strange. But then it all really sort of began to go wrong, massively wrong, when I went off to York to university.
Well, he did some strange things. I mean, so calling you your favourite was one thing, and then he opened a TikTok account, which was almost like what you'd expect to see as sort of a fan page about somebody. Did you discuss it with him? Did you say this isn't appropriate?
No, I think I was sort of quiet 17, 18-year-old at the time. I sort of spoke to a friend about it who had previously learnt with the instructor. And she sort of said, oh, that doesn't seem right. But where, I had 15 friends learning with him, I just thought, oh, it's nothing, I just was sort of
you'd recommended him to other people?
I'd recommended him to other people, I gave him the fastest number onto 3 of my friends. And, it was really sort of, as I say, when I went off to York in September...
How much older than you was he?
33 years. So.
33 years older than you.
So he made you a goodie bag which had gifts and vouchers for certain things. More accounts were made, but the one time where you had real sort of hard evidence that he had feelings, emotional feelings for you, was that he texted you a message pretty much professing his love to you.
Professing his love, yeah. It was sort of a very strange message saying, I know you're never going to care about me as much as I care about you, and that sort of thing. And I thought, I was 18 at the time, and I just thought, that seems very strange. And I went to my mum, and she said, no, that's not right. And I blocked him on all social media, and she texted and said, I wish you to have no more contact with my daughter.
So you go to university and think, right, OK.
Yeah.
New life, start afresh. He's gone.
Yeah.
But he wasn't.
No, so on week 2 of university, I'd literally been there 10 days or something, he joined my WhatsApp block accommodation. And then at that point, it was when my dad went to the police and said, and I submitted all the evidence, and he was arrested a month later. And then it was sort of, I think it was November 3rd, he was arrested, and the police rang me and said that he'd actually created a fake Instagram account called Ben Williams and was posing as a York student, and had been stalking me and all my flatmates for the past 6 weeks. And we were also told he had actually been up to York and was sort of like walking around my block of accommodation. Watching
the door to your halls?
Yeah.
And so, as a young woman who's meant to be going to university, having Freshers' Week at the time of her life with this new life, these new friends, how did that feel?
I was absolutely terrified. I think I was so scared because I just didn't know what... It was the unknown. I thought, what is this going to lead to? What's going to happen? I think I was just so lucky that I have the most amazing flatmates who were so supportive and were so kind. And really, they were sort of secondary stalked as such because, their accounts were followed in order to get to me. But they, were always stood by me and were, was walking me to lectures and stuff, and I was sleeping in one of their rooms because I was just absolutely terrified.
Well, the police found 5 devices. I think there were files on you on all of them.
Yeah.
We can't discuss anymore. We're not allowed to discuss anymore about that and court cases and things. However, as I said at the beginning, you are now speaking out about this. How do you feel about him?
I think he very much needs help. As much as I'm absolutely petrified and wish to have nothing to do with him for the rest of my life and hope that I won't, I obviously do I do feel bad for him, and I think, what's happened, something must have happened maybe during lockdown for him to become so obsessed. And I'm hoping that he will get the help that he needs whilst leaving me alone.
And leave you alone. Yeah. It's really important. When I was reading what you said this morning, and you said it just then, you said, you know, I had an instinct that something wasn't quite right in the early days. And you said to one of our researchers, I didn't want to rock the boat. Yeah. Everybody else was fine. It's a real message, isn't it, to women and to men. Like, if you ever feel that something isn't right, if your instincts are screaming, rock the boat, say something.
Yeah. You know, I think sort of something I'd just really, you know, say just really trust your gut, because I think if I'd stuck with my gut and thought back in April, oh, this doesn't feel right, you know, maybe I wouldn't now be in this situation of being stalked and having, you know, a horrendous 9 months.
So what, because your advice, as we said, you know, you go around schools, you're talking about this, what do you look for and what do you do? Because in something like this, hindsight is always going to be 2020. Yeah. When was the moment that it changes? When was the moment you should have backed out?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I think speaking to people about it and getting a second opinion from sort of an outsider is sort of something that I would, if this was to happen to me again, something I'd sort of speak to some more friends and say, well, what do you think? Sort of trying to get more people's opinions, but really sort of trusting your own instinct, trusting your own gut. Because, you know, as I said, I wonder if I'd stopped lessons in April, would this have happened?
Mm. And the great that the police take it so seriously now, don't they? I mean, there was before, I remember when stalking wasn't actually seen as a crime, and now it very much is.
Very much, yeah. Like, I've obviously been to court and been to sentencing stuff, and it is very taken very seriously, which obviously it needs to be.
Also, your friends have been amazing.
I've been so lucky. I've honestly got the best flatmates, and I've got such supportive friends, and I think, you know, without such great flatmates who were so kind and caring towards me, I think I would have had to have dropped out of university because I was just absolutely terrified. And, you know, I'm still obviously really scared now, you know, but I think, you know, I've just been so lucky with the people that I've ended up in a flat, and we're living together next year, and I've just been so lucky with that.
Well, Maisie, I hope this nightmare draws to an end for you really soon, and thank you for coming on here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well done.
Take care of yourself.